All right, welcome to another live stream, another episode. I am Mike Perkins, one half of MVP, one half of Opinions I Like podcast, one half of Mike and Vince Perkins. For this here, I am the whole show. Seen the thumbnail, you seen the title. We just had recently the Ime Udoka situation, whereas he allegedly um had a sexual relationship a staffer. The staffer was allegedly um, the the wife of one of the VPs at the Boston Celtics. And just a quick, little um, intro to that. Apparently, it's Patrick Lynch. Let's see here. Patrick Lynch, his wife, Kathleen Nemo Lynch. Yeah, she was one of the staffers. I think that and this is just alleged. This is all alleged. This is her, Robert Patal from BSO. Um, I know the dude because he broke the story about um, what's the young lady's name? Amanda Seals. Amanda Seals. She claimed that what's the other guy's name? Former football player, NFL player, FSU. Name escapes me, but he broke that story that she was lying about him sexually harassing young ladies. Still was never convicted of it. There was never even a case brought up against him. So I would imagine that he didn't do it. But that's what I remember him from. Robert Littal. I think he's cool with the guy Van Lathan. And he's reporting that it is allegedly um, the young lady or the wife of VP Patrick Lynch. And they're saying infidelity. I don't want to be technical, but technically, there's no such thing as infidelity. There's no marriage. Unfortunately, they were not married. They are not married currently. And I just get my thoughts on the whole cheating thing. I mean, a lot of people have been making, this thing about, you know, Ime Udoka really fumbled, the situation. He fumbled being with somebody as good and as extraordinary as Nia Long. And I would say Nia Long's attractive woman. Obviously, she's an attractive woman. Um, you know, that goes without saying. I think that for her age, or you can take her age away, she's still an attractive woman. She's still a pretty attractive woman. But you know, Ime Udoka rather didn't fumble. Uh, Likely Nia Long was hurt. I would imagine. I would imagine that she didn't find out like we found out. Probably she found out immediately when not January, but in July when everybody else found out. Uh, well, not in July when the powers that be found out. So she certainly probably already knew. She was quiet the whole time, which in my estimation means that she probably wasn't looking forward to this thing leaking. One, two, that she probably isn't going anywhere. I don't imagine that she's gonna go anywhere. Um, where else is really there to go? I'm not saying that nobody wants to be with her, but the father of her kids, or one of her kids, I don't know if she has two or three, but as far as I know, she has two. But the father of one of her kids is him, and I would imagine she wants to be with the father of her kids rather than just being with some guy. So I don't imagine that she's going anywhere. I imagine that she's probably just gonna, you know, chill out, stay there. There's been a lot of dudes coming forward and really trying to, you know, do the simpery, try to come forward saying, how could he, your Ryan Davises, your Gynocrats, your sympathy crew that just comes through and always has something, to say, in that regard. Yeah, and, those guys really, for whatever reason, they say what they say, but I don't think that, obviously, let's say this, he is wrong. He should not have cheated, he should not have cheated. He, wrong that he cheated, but, he cheated on a 51-year-old. I'm not saying that he should have, but let's stop with the he cheated and how could he do that to her? It's how could he do it? It's not really how can you do it to her. She is a very, very, again, for her age, very attractive. I haven't really seen her without makeup, so I would imagine. Let me just assume that she is as advertised on that end. You know what I'm saying? Without makeup, let's just assume she's attractive. But real talk, I mean, she's 50 years old. I'm not saying that that makes her less attractive or means she couldn't possibly be attractive, but she is. You know, and you know, I don't know how old the young lady is that he cheated with, but let's just assume he cheated up and not down from a physical standpoint. Um, yeah, but let's go ahead and get into what it is that I wanted to get into, which is the interaction between Malika Andrews and Stephen A. Smith. Um, again, I repeat, uh, Ime Udoka was wrong. If in fact they do fire him, this is where I want to start. Them suspending him for a year for a season is to me the most mishandled. Like, I don't even know how you suspend somebody for the whole year for something nobody knew about, come out with the story, and then get mad when people speculate about the story that you leaked. It gets to a point where, like, do you all have any common sense? Nobody knew from when it allegedly happened, which was, I'm thinking July, they said, right after the championship, and nobody knew, and you all decide that you decide that you're gonna leak it, and then say you're gonna, when you could have just fired them, you know, because the thing is that when Casey for the Toronto Raptors, he won NBA Coach of the Year, and then got fired right after. You know what I'm saying? Like it's possible. I don't think anybody. I mean, people would have questioned it, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a story of some sort would have came out, but you got to be y'all mishandled this. This is you should just fire him quietly, or don't fire him quietly, because this situation doesn't really fare well with the powers that be. And yeah, This story is like a black eye, on their situation. Because I'm sure that the guys of the team are very, very happy with the coach that they had and who made Udoka. And yeah, I don't think that they want another coach or the assistant coach. I think they're very, very happy with the guy that they had. Yeah, there may be, a game or two, a player or two. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they feel like they got a really good chance this season. But yeah, they're probably not happy with the way things went down. So let's get into it because really this Malika Andrews and Stephen A interaction is really, really, really to me inappropriate at best. Inappropriate at best. I think that she really is got to be out of her mind. Let's see here. Let's get into it. She comes in hot. Malika does, and when she comes in, um, yeah, she makes her presence known. All right, let's get to it.
Stephen A., with all due respect, this is not about pointing the finger. Stop. What became apparent to me in this press conference is that we do not have all of the information here. And it was frustrating to me that the Celtics declined to elaborate or to give more specifics about what exactly the rule breaking was that led us to this point. So that I just want to get that out of the way.
Okay, first off, that's the problem to begin with. But the problem to begin with is the fact that they say anything about the fire. You don't need a press conference for this situation. They did not need a press conference. They needed to be as quiet as possible. They needed to talk to the young lady, or young ladies, whatever. This is another problem I have. The angle that she's gonna go is super duper inappropriate. And even Stephen A. to a certain extent is very inappropriate in his approach. But we're gonna continue to go. This is just bad. Uh, it's just mismanagement on both sides. It is really, really Malika Andrews. But the problem is, again, Malika, is that they should have not even said anything about this situation. They should have just handled it behind closed doors, kept it private, the whole nine. The fact that they said anything is really the problem. But we're going to continue.
First, but to answer your
I'll
question, Molly, I
respond,
think
but
what
go
stood out to
ahead.
me, I think what stood out to me is that Brad Stevens, he was upset. That's what stood out to me about what he termed rampant Twitter BS is the word that he used, that women were unfairly dragged into this within the Celtics organization. You could see that Brad Stevens was visibly upset.
Yeah, Brad Stevens being upset about other women being dragged into it again, I would be mad at the organization. Nobody knows this in July. Nobody knows this in August. Not until September that we know. The fact that we know in September is really only a reflection of them leaking the story. This is all coming from the Celtics. Everybody who knows something only because the Celtics said something. If the Celtics said absolutely nothing, then there's nothing to know. It's the Celtics saying, this is not a story that we even had on our radar. Somebody at the Celtics said something. The only way that this gets out, it's two people at the, I mean, well, only so far, two people at the Celtics that this happened with. I don't think that Ime Udoka has any interest in saying anything. I don't think that the young lady, considering that she's married to a VP and she is a staffer, I don't think she has any interest in saying anything. The fact that this is even out is because somebody from there said something. That's it. Other than that, nobody says anything. But she's coming in hot, and she's coming in hot on First Take, even a show, which is like ridiculous. I don't even know how you even you know uh, come in hot on Stephen A's show. But let's keep going.
About this. And I also found that to be gross and unnecessary, that folks were bringing in the names and the images of women that is just not a fact.
Again, the only reason that those names and those pictures were brought in is because the Boston Celtics leaked it. That's it. If they didn't leak it, if they didn't put out the story, then it would be nothing to say. They had to put out the story. Nobody knew. Nobody had an inkling. There was no rumblings, or it wasn't like with like Rachel Nichols and what's the guy? Rachel Nichols and Jimmy Butler, or um what's the other guy? He played for Houston. When people immediately knew about that. People immediately knew, and they said something. It's not like that situation. It's not like the situation where somebody is saying something immediately. It took 2 or 3 months for us to know anything. This story came out of nowhere. Only way it came out of nowhere, like it did, is because somebody from Boston actually said something. And I know she knows this, which is the irritating part. You know what I mean? Everybody's getting the information now, but the angle that she's gonna go is disgusting.
It was purely speculation. And so to me, that is what stood out. But the Celtics as an organization could have done more. And short of doing more ahead of this yesterday, they could have owned that responsibility in this press conference. I understand that there were legal parameters that they had to operate within for everybody involved. And I appreciate the fact that they brought in outside counsel.
Bringing in outside counsel again, like, I just think that they're doing entirely too much for a situation that could clearly be handled behind closed doors. Again, Boston's mismanagement of this situation is really what it is. I think that they were trying to stay in front of it in regards to, like, any type of Me Too situation. The first thing that they actually said, though, was that it's consensual, and I mean, let's just, let's believe that because that's the only thing that said that it was consensual. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a SA case on him or any kind of rape case on him or anything like that. He really just has, a situation whereas he's getting fired. I mean, he's not getting fired. He's being suspended for, the time that he's being suspended. But to me, that really speaks to, um, that it just speaks to mismanagement. You know what I mean? That, now you have to fire him. You can't give him a year's suspension. Like, you really got to fire him. You know what I mean? And with the year suspension, what I really think is happening is that he's they're trying to uh make sure that they can place him somewhere, whereas he actually has a gig. You know what I mean? I think that's actually what's happening. They're trying to make sure that they can place him somewhere and give him a gig or something like that. Hopefully that's what they're trying to do. If not, you know, they're really jacking this. They really are. But let's keep going.
And did a thorough organization. And I think that that is something that was clearly necessary in this situation. But the fact that it was able to go on all day, the fact that we are sitting here debating whether somebody else should have been suspended or not, we are not here, Stephen A., to further blame women.
Okay, this is the angle that she's going. Now, I heard the part before Stephen A. You can go back to ESPN to actually, see what Stephen A. said. He said nothing about blaming the women. He said nothing about blaming the women. This is not about blaming the women. What he said was not about blaming the women. What he said was about Boston coming out with this information and Boston also handling it not consistent with the way that prior situations have been handled in this regard. Because the aforementioned names, they didn't get suspended for a year. Nobody got suspended for a year. Now, granted, being a coach of a team, a head coach of a team, is a pretty powerful position, and I would expect that you, with great power comes, great responsibility. Thus, you cannot be walking around having sex with staffers. You know what I mean? Because you're in a power position. Even being a player to a certain extent is a power position. You know what I mean? And I was looking at Skip and Shannon, and really Skip, because Skip was like back in the '70s and '80s, there was a lot of fraternizing among colleagues. You know what I'm saying? When he worked as a columnist, when he, eventually was on, ESPN, there was a lot of fraternizing. Matter of fact, I've always heard that at ESPN, it's like high school there or college. Let's say college. Everybody kind of lives on top of each other. Everybody has to be in Bristol to some extent. Everybody has to be in Bristol, and fraternizing and so on and so forth is just normal. It's not like a bunch of people. Everybody's doing it so that it's for one of those things where it's accepted and understood. But her angle, her angle, and the fact that she's coming on this man's show and you know acting as if he's doing something like he's not blaming women at all. You know what I'm saying? He's not blaming women at all. Put him on suspension for a year, made it where he can't look for other jobs and stuck in limbo, aka soft blackball. Yeah, yeah, you know, but I think that they should rethink the year suspension. It's either fire him or don't. It's either fire him or don't. There's no reason for you to keep him in limbo. There's no reason to really keep him in limbo. Keeping him in limbo doesn't do anything for the team. It doesn't do anything for the staff. It doesn't do anything for the organization. Head coaches are too important for you all to be keeping the team essentially in limbo because you're not just keeping, you know, Ime Udoka in limbo. You're keeping the whole team in limbo and a team just went to the finals prior year, which is really, really the part that is, so it's flabbergasted. It's like you do that to the head coach, first year head coach, who took you over the hump. You know what I mean? They've been to the conference finals, I think 3 out of the last 4 years, and then you get over the hump and get to the finals, and then when you get to the finals, this is what you do. This doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But we're gonna keep going.
That is not why we are here.
Yeah, her tone is get back to her tone. Malika Andrews should know better. I think that she's maybe like 20 or 30 years younger than Stephen A. Stephen A has been old since I was young. I don't imagine that Malika Andrews is older than me. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my 40s, so I don't imagine that she's older than me, which means that she's probably 20 or 30 years younger than Stephen A. You don't talk to an elder statesman, a senior analyst like that. I mean, there's no world where you talk to somebody who's been, and another black man for that. Like, because I don't think she talks to any white dude like this, just to be honest. Like, Stephen A is damn near ESPN. He's damn near ESPN. He's damn near the whole thing there. I mean, it's probably most of the reason that anybody really watches it. I mean, there's other dudes that's there that are cool to watch. But Stephen A's first take is like a staple there. You know, that's where people come in and hang. That's the hangout spot where everybody's coming. And you get on his show. This man who's been at least at ESPN for at least 20. I mean, I think it's 20 years. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. What we're not gonna do is and talk to that.
First of all, let me be very clear. I don't
Okay. Stephen A. Smith checking her was I didn't expect him to do that. Let me put me on the record as saying I didn't expect him to do that. What I thought he was gonna do was that he was gonna take her lashing and just deal with her disrespect just normal, like he would have done anyway. And I thought that that's what he was gonna do. But he checks her, and I appreciate that he checks her. I really do appreciate that he checks her. Very, very good of him.
appreciate where you're going with that. I'm not blaming anybody but Ime Udoka. He deserves. The fact of the matter is, I've said
Now, it's crazy how that this is the precedent that they're setting. If she keeps her job, if she keeps her job, then what you have to prove to me is that he's the only one that is actually guilty of anything. Because as much as she's a staffer, he's a staffer as well. And if the rules apply to him, then the rule has to apply to her as well. He's not the only one that deserves to actually be, unless you're telling me that she had no choice. Because there's a, there's a sexual assault case or a rape case. There has to be that. If there's not that, then you have to tell me that something else is going on. You have to tell me that something else is going on. It can't just be this guy just deserves to be punished. He's the only one that deserves to be punished. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying she deserves to be punished as well. You know what I'm saying, and her husband being a VP or whatever her husband being a VP. That I mean, I don't know. That's probably why it came out. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have ever guessed that the woman was married too. That's wild. And let me reiterate again, he is wrong. He is wrong. And he's absolutely wrong. But blowing this up doesn't do anything to anybody. That doesn't do anything to anybody. I mean, ultimately, that's a L for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Him being put out there. But again, he's not the only one that deserves to be punished. She had sex consensual or had a sexual relationship.
he deserved to be fired if they were going to fire him. If you're not going to fire him, then don't fire him. My issue is all of this being publicized. The point that
which is the only thing that he was saying in the beginning. The only thing that he was saying is that this should not be publicized. That's ridiculous. Everybody should have to know this business because this is his business. He's wrong, and if you find out, you know what I mean. If that's what the rules are, then the rules are the rules. The only thing that he is saying though is that they should have said nothing. Nobody should be out. And the thing is that they want a world whereas this man gets outed, he's the only one that has to suffer a consequence because the nerve of him to cheat on me alone. The nerve of him to cheat on me. And I don't think him cheating on me alone is a good deal. I think that's bad. He did it. But the fact that they want only him to suffer is messed up. And granted, you know, if that's what they do, that's what they do. But that's the nonsense. You only want him to be punished. You don't want the young lady involved. And she should, I think the Malika should just say that.
I'm trying to make is just
You
like
don't
you're
think
not
someone would
mentioning,
notice if Ime Udoka was not at?
excuse me. I listened to you. You're the one telling me to stop on my show. It ain't happening.
That's the part. That's the part. You know, that's the part I like. She said, hey, chill out. I'm not gonna have you on my show, getting all loud with you. Like, oh, what's your issue? You know, what's your issue? The last time he had a run in with the Gynocrats, he folded. He folded. He folded immediately. He folded like a lawn chair. You know what I'm saying? The last time he had to deal with the Gynocrats. And but this time around, you sometimes you got to make an example of people. Let people know you Stephen A. Smith. You know, finally, you got to make an example out of somebody. But more of the problem is that she felt even comfortable with doing it. Why does she feel even comfortable with saying, well, we ain't gonna do this? Who gonna check me for it? Why does she even feel comfortable doing that? Like I don't even understand how you can feel comfortable doing that as a junior member, you know, with a man 30 years your senior, I would imagine. How do you feel comfortable doing it? But let's
Okay, that's number one. Number two, I've already said he deserves to be fired or he deserves to be there and handle it internally and privately. If you're not going to handle it privately, if you're going to publicize it in that fashion, then obviously it provokes everybody wanting to know, okay, well, who?
exactly what I'm saying. Everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to know. And the reason that everybody wants to know is because they broke the story. They should have shut the hell up and not told nobody. Because the moment they told everybody, everybody wants to know, well, who's the one out here doing it? What chick is it? I saw so many pictures on Twitter about it that it was ridiculous. I mean, I saw a gang of pictures, and I'm like, some of these chicks is bad. It was great. Like go ahead, go ahead and do what you do, not you know, get your email on. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But let's continue. Let's continue. It gets better. It gets better.
For the parties involved. When you have Amina Smith in Boston and other women pointing out the fact that there were women who were wrongly implicated in all of this, it's a disservice to them. I didn't come out with the report about a consensual relationship. I didn't.
And that's another point. He's only reporting what has been reported. And it's only a story because it's being dope. Not if it was dope, not if it was some infidelity somewhere else, not in sports, nobody would be talking. Nobody on ESPN would be talking about it. There'd be no reason to talk about it because it's some guy doing something that he's not supposed to be doing some other place. It's not sports, it doesn't matter. They're not talking about Will Smith. I mean, they probably did talk about Will Smith, but they're not talking about some rapper, you know what I'm saying, cheating with some other woman or whatever. They're not talking about that. What they're talking about is a head coach actually, cheating with the staff. You know, so it's within the bounds of, of talking about it. you know, yeah, it's within the bounds. At least I think so, you know. But let's continue.
Come out with the report ahead of time leaking that they were going to suspend him for the year. They did that. And my point is, considering how pervasive this kind of stuff has existed in professional sports for many years, my whole point is that, excuse me, make sure that you handle it in the same fashion it has always been handled. You could have
Right. Handle it the same way that you handle all the other situations. It seems like either they're trying to make an I mean, of which if it's the VP, one of the VPs of you know of which I would like to know like what VP was. You know what I mean, because I think that the VP, one of the VPs, is the former coach in Bradley, and this guy here is probably a VP of another like department, you know. But oh, I got hold up. Yeah, apparently Nia didn't know uh till a few days ago, and Ime knew he was about to get punished. Okay, yeah, I agree. They should have made a solid decision one way or another. Um, just saying, there's they're screwing them over, and the players too. Like it's bad. You know what I mean? Because like think about like Jason Tatum. They just got what is what's the guard? They got the guard from Indiana. Who is like he's cold. You know what I mean? They just got the guard from yeah, they just got the guard from Indiana, strong like point guard or whatever. They can sit Marcus Smart now. Marcus Smart is really not a he's not that guy. He's not that guy. But let's get back.
fired him, and then we could have speculated till the cows come home, but he's gone. But to keep him there, keep him employed, but in the same breath, suspend him for a year, then also that year is indefinite. That is the issue that I have. Nobody's trying to protect Ime Udoka, and certainly nobody is trying to protect is to excoriate the women involved or anything like that.
Yeah, and like it's in this era of like this is a poor move on the weekend part. Like the fact that she doesn't understand, like she has no, she doesn't know how to read the room. She has no time and situational awareness. Like now wasn't the time to check, Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith of all people, like he's a gynocrat. Like I mean, he say something there now and then, of course, because he's a dude, and he has a glitch. His Minnesota relationship is what it is. But every now and again, he glitches. Like he gets out of the matrix a little bit and goes back in. Because that's just what he is. But the fact of it is that he only talks five. He had, like I said, he's had like two situations here and there. I remember the one where he's like, women should be more accountable. I think like assault situations or whatever. Like, and not saying that they should be more accountable, but I think what he was saying was, that women have to take some responsibility for putting themselves in certain. And the black women, I think women as a whole did appreciate that. I think we got um, suspended or at least reprimanded to where he had to apologize for himself. Even they be, he be minding his, low key. I don't think he a coon. Like people call him a coon, but it's hard to be. That's why you don't coon though. So that when stuff like this happens, you're not super fit because he don't be doing nothing to nobody. Listen, Stephen A. don't. He certainly don't be. He don't spit like we spit over here. He not doing that. You know, but I mean, it's not like he don't. He didn't deserve it. But let's
I'm talking about how things of this matter are usually handled from an HR perspective, from an organizational perspective. That is not consistent with what we have seen throughout the years. That is the only point that I was trying to make. I'm not trying to attack anybody. And if anybody deserves to be attacked, it's Ime Udoka for
No, not just Ime Udoka. Not just Ime Udoka. Ime Udoka deserves to be. He deserves all of the criticism. Can't keep it in his pants. Nerve of him. He shouldn't have cheated. He deserves all that criticism. He had consensual sexual relationship with a woman. Unless you're telling us that he sexually assaulted the young lady, rape, whatever. Unless you're telling me, as far as I know, inappropriate, consensual sexual situation. It is not. It is not. It's non. You have to stop making it like it's something else. Because again, saying that he is the only one suggests that okay, if he's the only one that deserves to be punished, then what are we talking about? I think that we're talking about something completely different. We're making it like he's the only one that did something. It was too, unless he was having sex with the air, or unless you're telling us that he just made an advance. He said, your husband Patrick ain't this. I'm 6'4", 6'5", and I used to play in the league. You know, it, they, that your move, darling. Unless he did that, I don't think that he should be the one, you know, answering. You know, the only one that's answering. The young lady should also, but it doesn't seem like they want that to happen. You know, and not even saying. See, this is the thing. This is why it's so trash. This is why this is so trash. They felt comfortable with outing him. They feel comfortable with publicly punishing him. But they're not gonna say the girl's name, the young lady's name, and are not going to punish the young lady. She just gets to be there, and she participates. This is trash. Trash. Did I say fair use? Fair use. You know this is from somebody else today, but fair use. Fair use.
putting himself in this position. I've made that very clear. I'm just talking about you got owners and everybody else. They know the kind of stuff that's going on. You didn't say anything about anybody else. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about them. They didn't say anything about everybody else all the other times this stuff has happened. But now when it comes to him, it's all over the place. That is my issue. That is my only issue.
Yeah, and that's the only issue you should have. Like, nothing really I mean, you should also have an issue with the fact that they're keeping her situation quiet. I mean, she should be also involved in it on some level. But I mean, the fact that they're not even saying anything about her is really dish trash. You know what I'm saying? I think that they could do better with, you know, um, they could do better. They could certainly do better. The idea that she just gets to just stay anonymous, that's not really, that's not the truth. That's not, I don't think that anybody wants the young lady hurt. They don't want her to, it's not like, this is a witch hunting, whatever. You know what I'm saying? They're not witch hunting. But I mean, at a certain point, man, like, if Ime Udoka has to face these bars, then I think he should probably be a part of it. But we'll continue. I think Malika is about to apologize for her fourth kid.
I appreciate that clarification. And I think that
One man, he don't owe you clarification. Stephen A. Smith don't owe you clarification. Stephen A. is a made man at ESPN. Are you serious? He don't owe you clarification. He doesn't owe you an explanation for what he said. What he said is what he said. The fact that you didn't know that he didn't say all that stuff to accuse him of, it's just ridiculous. You. That's your comfort. That's your comfort. You know what I'm saying? That's your gynocentric comfort. Just comfortable. Just comfortable talking to a man 30 years older than you, like you ain't got no sense. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, dudes don't even talk to elders like that. Dudes have a, and look, it might be some hands thrown. Not to say that, again, big man's an old guy. He's gotta be like mid 50s, something like that. But he's an older guy. There's no way in the world you talking to Stephen A. Any kind of way. Because you 51, but I don't care. Or 56 or whatever I owe you. I'm saying? In the game. I gotta be better.
Getting back to Molly's initial question, that is what stood out to me from the press conference. My reaction to the press conference, and I appreciate you clarifying that, Stephen A., is that the only thing that was made clear to me in this is that we are missing a key piece of information here. That is my reaction to the press conference.
That's it for that. She also lost her flipping mind uh, somewhere else. Uh, well, on ESPN, lost her mind again. And yeah, like I don't get it with Lily. Like, what is she always? Every time I saw her, she wasn't this nonsense. I don't understand it. So to set this one up, she got I think Kendrick Perkins, Brother Perkins, Uncle Perk on the I think he's on the phone or via Zoom, and they're about to talk. And she again, you know what I mean? Again, he flipped, which is again, I don't get it. I don't understand what's wrong with it. But let's go.
Well, one thing, Zach, that you touched on was just this gross focus on identifying unnecessarily women's names that may or may not be involved. And
Now, it's not gross. It's it's human nature. You want all the information about the situation, which is crazy because that's what you said, we're missing information. Well, obviously, some of the information that we're missing would speak to the nature of the relationship. But people are gonna want to know names because wanting to know names is a natural thing. Like naturally, you're gonna want to know, who's talking. You know what I'm saying? Or who's the one making, who's the one that did all the having of the sex. Naturally, you're gonna want to know. Why would you want to know? I want to know some names. I really want to know. You know, they didn't put the whole story out. I don't think email Joker like is the lack of anonymity. For email Joker really speaks to what I mean. Really, what you want. You want him to be firm. You want him to lose his job. And I'm not saying that he should. If he loses his job, he should lose his job. If he didn't have sex with himself, and if there are other staffers that are involved, hey, you know, everybody should lose their job. They all broke the rules. Unless the rules stipulates that you can't email Udoka, you can't have sex with nobody that works for you. Now they can have sex with you, of course. They can, have fun. But you can't have sex with them. Yeah, that's a dumb rule. That would be a dumb rule. That would make any sense. That would make any sense at all. Let's keep going. Please keep their mind. You must lose your job. About to lose your job.
And I think it is it isn't too harsh to say that that was a failure by many people, including folks within our own industry. And Brad Stevens actually addressed.
This is still the same guy. he threw his face up there. That's crazy. But that's what she's talking about. You know what I mean? She's saying that dudes was trying to make, and some women, I guess, were saying something. I don't feel though. I don't think that anybody. I think it's just a natural human, um, thing to want to know all parties involved. Like I wonder who it was. You know, but it was. But Stephen A. wasn't. Stephen A. was trying to.
That today. I want everyone to take a listen.
We have a lot of talented women in our organization, and I thought yesterday was really hard on them. And I think that nobody can control Twitter speculation and rampant, but I do think that we, as an organization, have a responsibility to make sure we're there to support them now, because a lot of people were dragged unfairly into that.
I got a question. How do y'all even like if the only thing that I think that I want to know, and I don't want to know, because I'm thinking like in my head, I'm thinking it had to be a staffer that at least told, maybe not her, maybe not, you know, certainly not even. So I don't think he told anybody. I think he like, nah, I won't tell nobody. I'm straight. I don't tell nobody. You know, but I think that the idea that we're trying to keep the young lady anonymous really is again a failure on their part. Because if you just say who it is, then other women don't have to have speculation attached to their name. And I'll tell you this, they will probably appreciate you distinguishing who it is versus who it ain't. Because if I know a staffer, at the Boston Celtics, organization, I'm just gonna assume it's the one that I know. Like you over there doing stuff, you over there having a good time, huh? I'm gonna assume it's the person that I know. Not to say that that's correct, but I'm just gonna assume it's the person that I know. I mean, why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I assume it's the person I know? You know, but that's
I want to bring in our NBA analyst, Kendrick Perkins, into this conversation.
okay. Now he's via Zoom, I think. You know what I mean? And she brought him in. She brought him in, and she showed what.
Because Perk, you played for the Celtics organization. What were your thoughts on this message here?
Well, well, one to me, I didn't like Brad comments on this, and let me explain why. Not the fact that he was taking up and protecting the women in the organization, but he said about the speculations and the Twitter BS and things to that nature, and how unfair.
Unfortunately for Big Perk, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunately for Big Perk, he's not the most articulate dude. I think a lot of times where he where he fails is when he tries to use words. I don't think he should try to use words. I think he should try to articulate himself like he does, just minus the curse. You know, try not to use a lot of slang. Try not to just
It was to the women in the organization that is not involved with this particular situation. And I get that, right? But why is it speculations? It's speculations because of the reports that were put out by the actual Boston Celtics. So
and there he's correct. Though. Like the only reason that we know is because they're saying something. That's it. We don't know something any other way. We don't know. We don't know anything. We don't know anything about the situation, save for the fact that they said. Again, reiterate. They said something. If they said something. That's the reason why. Otherwise, we have to.
they didn't do a great job from the jump of actually protecting the women in their organization, because knowing that they were going to sit up here and give out this information and go out here and suspend Ime Udoka and talk about, just give a little details, it's going to have people speculating.
Exactly. He actually said that okay. He actually did that okay. All you want to know is what is what is it that is actually going on. Like, you want to know what's going on. Like, okay, he just went to the finals. You know, there's probably only like maybe like 8, maybe 9 coaches that people really, really know like that. This is one of them. There's only a few coaches that people really know like that. He's been in the league, as an employee for probably like the better part of maybe like probably like 30, maybe not 30 years, maybe closer to 20, somewhere in between. Somewhere in between 20 and 30. He played for a lot of teams. Then he was a assistant coach with the San Antonio Spurs for a while. That's what he got with me along. But he's been, connected to the league for a minute now. you know? And the fact that they don't show him the respect of a brother to not put this out there like that. Like I'm in the league with y'all. That's crazy. He should have kept that on the low.
And in my eyes, I feel like the Boston Celtics dropped the ball not only in protecting their entire franchise, but in protecting the women as well. They should have made sure that they crossed their T's and dotted their I's before they put this information out. And I get it. Now we're to this point, and now he had to go on here and he had to say this and he had to say that to protect those innocent women.
I don't protecting the women. Like I get it. People are saying that. Like I get it. You want to protect the women, protect those women. But what you're ultimately doing is, if you don't say who actually did the thing, then you're not actually protecting. Because speculation is going to be there until you no longer. So there's no longer speculation. There's going to be speculation there until you tell us who it actually. Now the thing about the news cycle in this regard is that what I'm saying, things will always be there and then it won't, right? So that it's like, okay, cool. They're gonna go and say, I wonder who did it, I wonder who did it, I wonder who did it, and then eventually nobody's gonna care, and then eventually you get the story, and it's like, oh, it was this person, or they were right, they were wrong, whatever, whatever. But the thing about the news cycle is that it's kind of psychological. This thing is kind of psychological. But they did it again. Saying any of this is probably the thing that, and again, whoever the young lady or young ladies are, they deserve to be punished as well. They shouldn't be just Ime Udoka, the only one getting punished. Like everybody else should be punished as well. You know, it's not like a snitch thing. Like clearly he wasn't having sex with the air. He wasn't having sex with the air. If he wasn't having sex with the air, there probably should be some kind of something going on. But let's keep going. First, one few times, first,
But at the end of the day, man, it just ain't right how they went about it. The word accountability, okay? Accountability doesn't just go to Ime Udoka, okay? Accountability goes to the other people that played a part in that as well.
I mean, and I think he's trying to say that the women should be held accountable. I think. I'm thinking that he's what he's saying. I would hope that's what he's saying. I would hope that's what he's saying. That they deserve to have some kind of accountability. The woman or women that are actually the ones who are, having sex with female Udoka and the one, and if it was the married woman, I mean, she should definitely be held accountable on some level. It should be something. You can't just say, well, you know, you gotta have something happen to it, you know. But they don't want anything to happen. So,
Let me tell you another thing I didn't like about my good friend Wick Grossbeck and Brad Stevens in this press conference when they asked, is anybody else going to be punished? And they said no. And my whole thing is this, right? These are some of the facts that have been out. These are some facts that I know that, this relationship, one of these relationships that was had with Ime Udoka and one of these women, it was consensual, meaning that this woman actually played a part in it too. So my thing is,
is audio still skipping? That's my bad. I didn't see that. Hopefully, my audio is not the one that's skipping. Yeah, but what Perky's saying is true. He ain't the only one that was in it. He's not the only one that was in it. He's not the only one that was. He couldn't have been. No possible way for him to have been the only one that was in it. There had to be other people. There had to be other people that were in it in order for the situation to even be sex. There had to be somebody else involved. If nobody else was involved in it, then how? But,
yes, Ime Udoka was wrong. We get that. His punishment, he deserved that, and whatever else follows, I hate it for him, but he put himself in this position. But why are the other people getting left off the hook
Well,
That's the problem that I have right now.
Kendrick,
Everybody got to be held
Kendrick,
accountable.
I think that we need to circle back to what Shanae said, is that there was a investigation that was conducted by an
Yeah, and you can kind of tell that this is all gonna go bad. You know, it's gonna go bad. You know, she doesn't want there to be any accountability for the woman. Because again, how dare you cheat on the black queen? You know, so she wants him to suffer. You know, and him suffering is all that they want. You know, the nerve of you to cheat on. Me along, and just to me, like, dude is wrong. Let's dude is wrong. What she's about to do is she's about to clip him off before she cut him off, and now she's about to clip him off. She's about to drop him down.
independent law firm here. And without, I think that transparency is what will rule the day here. And so without having all of the information, it is unfair and irresponsible of us to go and to speculate on that, because what we have to
Well, I'm not speculating.
Sure.
I have the information. I'm not speculating.
He has the information. He's a Celtic. He's a part of the Celtic organization. He certainly has the information. You know, he won a championship with the Celtics. He has the information. I would imagine that he's not lying. So if he has the information, then that means shut the hell up, Malika. Because again, the only reason you acting the way you acting because you think you have some kind of seniority over this guy, and you think you can just talk to say any kind of way. It's wild, man. It's wild. Why does she think she can get away with that? But she's gonna get.
But what we have to go with here is the fact that an independent law firm came in, did this investigation, and the facts that they were presented, they came to the conclusion that Ime Udoka violated a policy that warranted a 1-year suspension. And I share your frustration with the lack of transparency, while understanding that there is some things that they need to, from a legal perspective, keep private. But knowing all of that, understanding all of that, we have to come to the conclusion that whatever rule, the conduct that was broken on one side, it is not the same on the other side.
How the hell is it not the same on the other side? Well, she finally said it. She said it at the end. So how are you talking about the, the conduct on one side is not the same as the I'm choppy, I'm choppy? Hold up. My audio? Give me a give me a one of my if it's just if it's my audio, my actual audio, or is it the audio on the video? Just whenever anybody is, just tell me if it's better. But she literally said that it should be punishment on one side, but it's not the same on the other side. Which means to me that she should have some information to back that up. She doesn't have any information to back that up. She's merely just saying, well, somebody should be punished, but the one that should be punished should just be Ime Udoka. That's it. Only one person. That's it. Only him. And that's crazy. That's comfort. That's real comfort. It's literally my audio. Yeah, how's that going? How's that happen? Can you hear me now? Is it better? Is it better now? Let me know. Give me a one. Yep. But what they want is for one guy to get this L, and then for nobody else to actually get an L. Not, he's not Ados. I mean, obviously he made joke, but it's not. Okay, so it's better. Okay, it's the fact that I had on headphones. Man. I'm trying to use the headphones, trying to not have it playing out loud. But however it goes, this is not a time where you want to have um, you don't want to have implicit bias on such a broad platform like that. I mean, well, you can if you're a woman, especially if you're a black woman, you kind of gonna get away with it. But the fact that she thought that she could get away with that is really just crazy. That's absolutely crazy. But she did get away with it because I mean, she said it, so here she goes. But I mean, excuse me, this situation though is just more proof. You know, it's just more proof of women being what I'm saying outwardly sexist or outwardly biased. There's really no checks for it. You know, there's really no checks for it. Like, granted, dude was wrong. He was horribly wrong. You know, we'll see a little better. I sounded far away. Oh, I'm choppy again. Damn. Well, I'm at the end of the video. So I'm probably gonna clip it. I'll listen back to it to see if it's even worth keeping up. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think that at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, Ime, he should probably, you know what I'm saying, just take his lumps, what I'm saying, take his L and really, if he gets another job, I imagine he'll get another job. It probably won't be a head coaching job. It'll probably be an assistant job, before he ever, gets back into the ranks of, of damn, it's shocking again. Yeah, but before he gets back into the ranks, you know what I'm saying, he'll probably end up being an assistant coach. And hopefully, what I'm saying, he gets back to, doing what he does. If he actually is actually a sex addict or whatever, gets that together. But the reality of it is that all parties involved in the sex or in the inappropriate relationship should actually be the ones that are, being punished for it. Because the reality of it is that, that's the only thing that's fair. Because everybody participated in it. Unless you're giving him one of them, SA cases. Hopefully he doesn't have one of those. You know what I'm saying? But that's my time, man. I'm gonna get on out of here. Hopefully I'll listen back to it. Hopefully it ain't that bad. You know what I mean? I mean, y'all saying this fast, I would think that y'all not mine. But this is Mike Perkins and yeah, I'm out.